pretend Mikey went, and then...
Stop! Let me rewind to 1949 when my father was born and raised. He was always taught to seize the day, but he was always shut down and never had his say. His future already engraved, written, and put into play. His face constantly cluttered with school books, getting scolded by his foolish friends with their foolish looks, becoming irrepressible images in his cerebral nooks. But he learned. There's no shame in pursuing knowledge, my father always said. He worked hard and knew he would keep his future family fed. However, he was born in Little Burma right above Thailand, where the Chinese were usually considered nothing better than farm hands. Socialism was on the rise, minorities' rights were on the low, and I swear to God if my father had learned martial arts, he would beat the crap out of any discriminating foe. But the government had denied his education and told him no. But he did it. He played it safe and took the smart route out. My father was the last of his family to leave, and I'm sure he left with no regrets and no doubts. He slung his future around his shoulder, a ragged sack with a couple of tees and torn pants. Took a step on the plane and didn't even turn around to glance at this prison that had restrained his abilities, this hell. He boarded the plane for the American dream and threw his deuces up and said farewell. With his first step on fresh soil, he realized what he needed to do. Always kept his eye on the prize, never acted a fool or gambled with a six-sided die. Never got involved with the wrong people, but always shot for the stars written in the sky. And I swear he'll be my inspiration, my roots, my origin till the day that I die.
I spew my thoughts into a sheet of paper, ink gushing between my teeth, ink leaking as I think and teaching me to think before I speak, because if I spoke now, you all would surely drown, ink sinking you cats to the brink, loud thoughts but no sound. And when the room drains and the level hits the ground, well, you can see my thoughts projected on the walls, signals of imprinted symbols, noun for noun, pound for pound, we continue the living from the masses that came before us. We were born thus. We will continue to age and grow, and our bones will restore dust back into this planet from Pacific to Atlantic. Now, I look down onto my paper and it becomes a flip book of my ancestors' eyes, old and wise. Wrinkles form irrigation canals in their brow, dripping with the sweat of their labor, working the land and repaying their debt. My great-grandfather slept on a bed made of straw, the same straw that covered rooftops and kept the warmth within their walls. In the fields they toiled, their skins sun-stained, one break on Sundays to talk with neighbors, but here in the States, we complain that life's too mundane. My life was founded on their flesh and built with their bone, powered by my blood's descent and plugged into my dome to continue this genome and let our legacy grow. You say life's boring, but do you reap what you sow? Because you can't have the tree without the seed, and you can't scrape the skies without the underlaying concrete. So I'll let the song speak to project my identity, have my roots chokehold your mind and tread like the legs of a centipede. And by the end of this, you will know what it meant to me. I remember in November it was autumn and I was 4 years old, and I would run down a hill into my mother's arms. And if I would trip on the wood chips, she would catch me from harm. And my dad, yeah, it all comes back to me. He used to make me wooden blocks to play with using the CNC machines at the factory. Yeah, it had to be. Or my grandpa, the way he leaned on the fence when he smoked a cigarette. Well, he's no longer with us, so I guess I'll never forget. But all in all, it's okay, because one day I'll die too, and to my children's tree I'll add my roots.
They say I'm whitewashed because I don't speak Korean. Look at my appearance, I look Korean. Guess what I am? 100% Korean. Я говорю по-русски. That's right, it's not a mistake on my application. Country of birth is Russia, but the race is Asian.
Whoa, you're weird.
Nah, I'm not weird, because I embrace my roots. Is it weird that my grandparents escaped the Korean War? Is it weird that they wanted a better life for my mom? Russia took them in. It was like starting fresh, but fresh meant rotten. Korean culture they have not forgotten. Constant discrimination, in a village full of Russians, a family of Asians. After time, more family migrated, more relations. All bilingual, Russian and Korean they spoke. Found their new place, but it wasn't a home. My parents stood in the Russian winters, selling clothes at the outdoor market. Back then, the struggles I did not see. They did their best to protect me from the truth. Barely made money, freezing in their little booth. But me, I was just being a kid. Oh shoot. To have food on the table, to have a roof. But me, I was just being a kid, never understood. That's how much they sacrificed so I can have a childhood. After a while, they faced their only fear. They didn't want me to struggle growing up over here. Their luck became reality. The three of us packed our things and flew to the land of opportunity. America was in our sight. Sigh of relief once we got off our flight. Life is easy now, right? Not at all. Koreans that spoke Russian and our only English word was hello. Found ourselves in a similar situation. My grandparents' shadow. 11 years have passed in the place I call home. My parents are still working, still protecting me, allowing me to have a good life, making my only worry my college degree. Everything they did for me, all of their pain. Just so when I'm older, I won't live with my hands, but think with my brain. Thank you, Mom and Dad. You've done a lot for me. I will work hard and give back. You just wait and see. You helped me build who I am, and I will never forget my roots.
Foundation, my base, my support, my life, is nothing without the sacrifices, the strife of those who came before me, whose sweat and tears were for me, those living people who support me. To begin, let me tell you a story about my father who came over in a rickety boat. It's a miracle that in the ocean, it managed to stay afloat. He came here with nothing but his God-given hands, the clothes on his back, no, not even, it was the clothes they gave him, and his brain. Which reminds me, speaking of brain, he never let me forget that I have my own to train. And I should never let it go to waste and rot. All that math in the summer, I would have rather not. But it was all because he wanted to see me do my best. And despite everything, I listened, lest I should let my brain decay and die like a skeleton, no flesh on the bones, no heart, no pulse, no eyes. I don't remember if I ever said it out loud, but in a whisper to myself, I said, yeah, Dad, I'll try. So my father, starting with nothing, ended up, after long years with something, promising himself to never be homeless, never be hopeless, not be without purpose, and know this. After college, he bought himself a 2-flat. Yeah, he achieved that, despite the pain that burned like acid, an ulcer in the stomach. Don't know how it was done, but he did. Meeting my mom and raising some children and being successful, despite people looking down on him. Boo them! Because of my father's race, his skin, turning him away from jobs, like Border Patrol turning away the undocumented. But like a wounded animal fighting to survive and protect her kin, none of those obstacles ever really stopped him. And I can't forget about my mom, the most beautiful woman you'll ever meet, the best sales girl back in Vietnam. Sold everything she could for her family, ice cream, water, rice, gasoline, chasing after cars for idiots who wouldn't pay. Her job was so dangerous, but at the end of the day, she'd be so happy because this is what she loved, taking care of her family, blessed with what she was given from above. And you know how you save up for your iPods and your computers and your cars? Well, she was so happy when she could afford a new shirt or some flip-flops, yeah, she could reach for the stars. Now here I stand on the base and foundation that was made for me, allowing me to live in this nation. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Your sacrifices, I swear, I will not forget. I will exceed your expectations. Yeah, you can bet. And for us, let's not forget about where we came from. Let's try fitting on someone else's boots. It's about looking back, being grateful, and embracing our roots.
Yeah, take your shoes off when you come into my house, my home, my foundation. Barefoot, walk the path I've taken. Feel the history of my ancestors, understand that ignorance today is no longer bliss, and that amidst this world, I demand respect for who I am and for who I am going to be. I was the shortest kid in my class with the biggest dreams. Encouraged to play piano, exceed in academics, get into Northside, become a doctor, trying to use time wisely so that I would never have to worry about wasting time, doing time. Kindergarten. I don't know about you, but my mom didn't believe in Lunchables, and when you can't have something, you want it even more. I sat there, with the boy I liked having a staring contest with my Tupperware and losing. Hey, you want to trade?
No.
Yeah, well, I don't want your Capri Sun, fun-size Snickers, or your cracker ham and cheese combination anyways. Why don't you have a taste of my youth, have a taste of my culture, and love it, marry it, and bathe in it? My foundation is rooted within me. Shower me with the sweat and tears of my grandparents. Warm me with the blanket of acceptance. Shield me from the words spoken from those that are naive. The derogatory comments about my eyes. Well, let me tell you something about our eyes. Our eyes have seen struggle, strife, and turmoil. And yes, my eyes are open and I see that the soil of my foundation is unshaken and nutrient-rich. That my roots are embedded, intertwining with my past and my experiences, the core of my existence. In all this confusion, who I wanted to be, who I am, and who I should become, I lost myself. First generation ABC, learning first the ABCs before Hanyutsu. Always telling me to speak Mandarin more, to work more, to appreciate who and what I have more. Constantly reminded that my dad had to walk 5 miles for an education and then was denied one. Grandma, my nai-nai, I am sorry. I am ashamed to say that I was once ashamed. Ashamed of my long black hair, my petite body, my dark brown eyes, my upbringing, my culture, my language, the Asian smell of my house, my light skin. Grandma, my nai-nai, I am sorry. Somewhere in between the petty comments, I realized it's not me, it's you. That this inheritance is a reflection of my past. That this inheritance is a blessing, not disguise. That this inheritance has given me peace and all the Lunchables I've ever wanted. That those callous hands were not put to work in vain. Grandma, my nai-nai, thank you. Haters gonna hate, potatoes gonna potate. I am me and my roots run deep.
We are us, and our roots run deep.